Welcome to another episode of
Google
or Facebook. My name is Matt Rincon, and this is Andres Bustamante. And today we're going to be talking about how to name a product or business. Andres is a little bit shy. He's a little bit camera shy today.
Yeah.
So we got to wake him up. There you go. There you go.
So good. Let's go. Let's do this.
How to name a product or business. We've been talking about this, teasing this week.
Yeah.
If you've seen some of our posts on social media. So really the idea is how to get started. And that's kind of a lot of these videos and episodes and pods that we're doing right now is if you're sitting at home or you're at your office and you got this idea and you really know what you want to do, but you're having a little trouble with step 1 and step 0 and just like launching. That's what we're kind of focusing our episodes on right now and at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see a lot of people have difficulties naming their business.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh man, what name should I come up with for my, my new gym or my new product that I'm trying to offer here.
That sounds fun. Open a gym. Yeah.
So, I think the name creation process is important, right? Don't you agree? I think that it's part of your brand, right? So I know if you look online, there's branding strategy, right? And from A to Z. And obviously we're talking about like A right now. So this is the beginning of it.
You got it. So I agree. I think that when people are getting started, they have difficulty with the name creation. When we're going out and doing business development ourselves online, we see a lot of jobs for stuff like help me name my business or I need someone creative to name my business.
Right.
And you can always outsource that, but I would recommend you don't. And the reason I say that is because your brand is you. And as an entrepreneur, that's really the center and the core of your brand is you. You're the engine of your company. You're the engine of your product. And if you're thinking of, hey, I just want to start a drop shipping business and, I just want to create some arbitrage. So I don't really, I'm not so worried about the name.
Right.
That may be true. It may not be as important for some individuals, right? So say you have a real estate finance company or something like that. And, maybe something very professional and generic may work. Say you're a skateboard company, right? Or say you are coming up with a YouTube channel or you want a creative Instagram name. How do you come up with that? And so that's really some of the questions that we get, and that's what today's episode is going to be about.
And I want to add that the reason why we can talk about this is because Matt is really, really good at coming up with names.
Oh, thanks, man.
Personally, I've seen him coming up with various names, very creative, and he does have a process for it. So that's why we kind of, did this episode is to, pull the curtain back a little bit and show you guys behind the name creation process. So
named a lot of people's kids.
Hey man, people's businesses are their kids.
If you're having a baby and you can't name them, man, don't get the baby book. Hit me up. All right, cool. So a lot of questions. Is the domain name important? Right. We were talking about that when we were getting ready. Google, how's that play when someone's searching for it?
Exactly.
Social media, right? How's that important? How can I be creative yet still someone understand
Does
what
it
I'm
make
doing?
sense to what you're offering, right? To what your product or service is or your business?
Correct. Yeah. So a lot of questions, and there really is no right answer. Okay. So the first thing, now getting into to my process is really thinking about who you are as an entrepreneur and what it is that you're trying to create from a brand perspective. Okay. So if we're both creating a cookie company, right? Andres is creating a cookie company and I'm creating a cookie company. Okay. And let's say they're both cookies, right? And they're both chocolate chip cookies. Now, Andres may be looking to sell chocolate chip cookies to the entire United States. Okay, he wants to put his cookies in everybody's cookie cupboard. Maybe he wants to be Mrs. Fields. Okay. Or Mrs. Fields' competitor. Okay, so how does that? Mrs. Andres' cookies. Mrs. Bustamante.
Busta cookies.
The idea really is, so when you start thinking about it that way, you start thinking about big, right? needs to have big appeal if we're going to be in everybody's cupboard.
Yeah.
And you're probably not as concerned with something like health, right? When you're thinking about cookies in that perspective, if it's a generic, I'm going to take on Mrs. Fields or I'm going to take on Oreo cookies, right? Big name appeal. It's brand, right? So let's forget the names aside for now. You're just thinking about a feeling of when you think of these. But what about like a protein cookie? So what if I was going to create a protein cookie and now I'm thinking about, okay, I'm going to be placed in gyms maybe, probably supplement stores, supplement sections of Amazon. So in reality, we're not even competing against each other, even though we're both chocolate chip cookies, okay? So that's one place to start is, what is it that you're creating? And why are you creating it? So before we started this, you were talking to me about why.
Right, yeah. I think there's this guy named Simon Sinek, and he comes up with this whole thing of, finding out your why of your storytelling, right? Your brand. What's the reason that you do what you do?
Yeah.
Right? And I think that in branding and coming up with your brand is important.
For sure.
So, what's the first step if I'm thinking about what you just already said about, the importance of understanding who your market is, right? Your target audience, and understanding what it takes to, be able to come up with with that brand that may compete with the big other brands right now. Or are you going to take the approach of maybe in your case of if it's a specific product like a protein cookie? What's the first step for me to come up with a memorable name?
For sure. So the first step is to really probably think about who you are, what you're trying to create, and what your brand is. Okay, and so that would be the first step, is really just trying to spend some time thinking about who you're going to be seen as in the market and who you want to be seen as in the market. So back to the scenario, big cookie guy, he wants to compete in every grocery store there is. Healthy cookie guy, I probably am thinking about something totally different. Okay, so let's keep that scenario for now. Now, if I'm going to be a healthy cookie guy, what are things that people think about when they think of something healthy? What would be... And so let's get into this process now of how to create something that's a word that's aligned to your brand. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So what would be some words that align to healthy?
Fit.
Organic.
Organic.
Fitness.
Vegetables.
Yeah. Green.
Yeah.
Sustainable. So you can see how that's completely different than if we were going to draw up a cookie scenario over here, right? So what would be a cookie scenario for Oreo competitor?
Sweet.
Chocolatey. Delicious.
Yeah. Sugary.
Yeah.
I want some Oreo cookies now.
Oh yeah, I was getting hungry. So you can see the complete difference now when you start thinking about emotions, okay? And so that's really, if you start thinking about creating a product or a brand or a business, emotion is at the center of memorability. Yeah. Okay? So if you think about any really awesome commercial in the past that you may have watched, it's probably something that made you really sad, or something that maybe made you really happy, or something that you could relate to, right? And then it's like, I don't know, you see like a starving kid and then someone helps them and it's like Coca-Cola and you're like, what? Yeah. But you remember because how it made you feel.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I think that's what's part of branding. I think that's the core of branding right there, is creating that emotion that connects with the consumer.
Yeah, for sure. So think about that first, right? What emotional connection are you looking to make? And what words play to that emotional connection?
Right.
Okay. So that'd be the first thing coming up with your brand.
Okay.
Now there's a little exercise that you can do. It's called the Booba versus Kiki exercise. Not Booba. Like the song.
Kiki?
Not like the Drake song. And the idea really is to compare a Booba or Kiki shape and see what sound aligns to a shape. Yeah. And typically how it works is Booba, and the sound round. Booba is a more round shape, correct? Which is also a more type of friendly character or name. Okay? Whereas Kika, or Kiki, sorry, keep thinking about the Drake song, is a more rigid
sharp,
shape, which may align to a more rigid name. Something like my sister's name, Caitlin. She's not very rigid though. So bad alignment by my parents, bad naming by I love you, Caitlin. So thinking about those things there, right? So let's think of a name, Molly versus Caitlin. Okay.
Yeah.
Molly is maybe an easygoing, friendly name. Booba, Molly, easy, friendly. Kiki, Caitlin, rigid.
Yeah.
But determined, maybe. So it's not like a negative, positive thing. It's more of like it's just a different type of sound, which creates emotional connection for us.
I have an example.
Oh, right.
And we're talking about like cookies here, and I'm just getting really hungry. But you guys heard of Kit Kat?
Oh,
so I'm just thinking of names, and Kit Kat. What's the shape of a Kit Kat? It's like very squarey, but like real Sharpie, right? Real sharp, rectangular.
A great example.
So I think
the
name
marketing is break, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Take a break, Kit Kat.
Yeah, just all those sounds really creates emotional connection with the brain.
Yep.
And so, all right, now all this is still kind of theory, right? You're like, hey, I got this cookie company, man. Give me some real advice here. Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty of. All right, I'm going to type up a document and I'm going to have these names. All right. So first things first, you got to do research. Okay. So go out there and look at all these healthy cookie companies that you're looking to compete against, or whatever it is that you're looking to, whatever industry space you're looking to enter. Okay. So let's keep it on cookies. Maybe you want to go to the grocery store. Maybe you want to go to the supplement store. Check out what competition's there. Go on Amazon. Google it. Go on Facebook. See what names people are using. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to accidentally use a word that someone already used. Right? So if we're creating with Genie cookies or whatever it is, and then we go out there and we find someone that's called Cookie Genie, that would be pretty disappointing, huh? If we spend $2,000 on
a domain,
on a whole bunch of stuff, and we built the website and we created colors and we did everything. So
there's definitely steps prior to that, and I think that we've talked about it recently where with the name selection process you have to be real careful, and sometimes let's say you have a great name, if it's really really good you can probably bet that somebody's probably taken it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's usually the case.
For sure. Yeah. So, if it's too good and not creative enough, it's probably taken. Yep. And so and not maybe from a business. It could just be from someone sitting on a domain waiting to sell it to somebody.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of that, sitting on a social media account waiting to sell it to somebody. Unfortunately, these days, it seems that almost every single idea has been already thought of. It's really, what's more important is executing.
Exactly.
Right, on an idea. That's really what makes an entrepreneur. That's really what makes a business go. So don't get discouraged if you do see a word taken already. Because if it is someone that kind of got rid of it or stopped doing business, then you could maybe outrank them pretty quickly. So, for example, for DigiCoffee, there's someone else that uses the name DigiCoffee, and we've been able to outrank them. Right?
Exactly.
And so the idea is, if there is a name that you really are sold on, you're like, you know what? There's only one person using it on Facebook, and they're in, I don't know, the other part of the world.
Yeah.
Potentially it's not that important. It's a different language, maybe it's not that important. So, but research is. So that's the first step, right? Okay. Start researching what your competitors are doing. Start Googling, what your product is and seeing what's out there.
Right.
Okay. And it'll also align you to industry trends and that kind of thing.
That's good advice.
That'd be the first thing. Okay.
Perfect.
So branding, what emotion are you trying to create? All right. Then going to look at your competition, seeing what they're doing. All right, next step. Now that you have a good idea of who you want to be out there in the market and what your brand to be and what your competitors are doing, at this point you can get a pen and a piece of paper and you can just start writing down words that align to your brand. So like we were doing earlier when we said healthy cookie, right? Green, organic, sustainable, those emotional words that are, or maybe even buzzwords that are out there right now that are relevant to certain industries, those could be used. So just write as many as you can down and then start organizing them based on an objective. Okay, so for example, I may have a column of words, and I may group them by one may be healthy and a bunch of words that align to healthy, right? Green, organic, sustainable, life. Then I may have cookie, right? Snack, food.
Delicious.
Delicious, yeah. And then I may have something like innovative, tech, cutting edge, new, futuristic. And then maybe I may have something like local, friendly, small business, family business. Okay, so now you have, say, 4 columns of all these different types of words. Then what you can do, because your mind is limited, is use the power of the internet. Okay, so you have, say, 4 columns of words now. They all have a different objective. Go to synonym.com. Type in each one of those words. Write down all of the synonyms that come up for all those words, or copy and paste them into your Excel sheet. All right, so now you have 4 columns of generic words, and then you got another set of column and a lot more words of things that you weren't actually thinking of. Okay, so now you got all these words. You got this huge word cloud. Okay, and so what's easy to do at this point is you could just combine those words, right? You could call it healthy cookie, right? Or you could call it sustainable cookies, right? Which is what many people do, and they'll stop there.
Some people
and that works.
Yep.
From an SEO perspective, search engine optimization, maybe that's not bad.
Right.
So,
but for the most part, it's probably taken.
There you go.
Right? If we're talking about like SEO, like domain choosing for SEO purposes, that's where the creative needs to continue, right?
Can you talk about that for a sec? Looking for a domain?
Yeah. Okay. So, the question is always, is choosing a domain important? A lot of business owners may ask themselves that, or ask some other professionals. And the question is, at times, yes. And I think, some people would say, yes, it's very important, depending on what industry you're in, right? So like if, for example, because I've seen this a lot, and I've seen plastic surgeons, for example. We've had plastic surgeons clients in the past. And so they'll be like plasticsurgeryinhouston.com. I'm sure there's somebody has that right now. If not, then, somebody go out and grab it if you're in Houston.
That's a good SEO one.
Right?
Yep.
But so for certain industries, it might make sense to be very literal as how people would search, because that's part of the Google ranking. And now we're getting to the search engine optimization, which,
Next step.
It's just one of those steps. But I think that, we take a look at other names like Twitter, for example. Did you guys know what Twitter was before Twitter was even a thing? Probably not, right?
Yeah.
So I think that unique names still has value. I think that certain, and I'm not too certain about how the domain, let's say, value works, how much, but usually when it's like a very memorable name, 1 or 2 syllable, the value is higher for that domain, right? So when you're choosing like a very short name for a product, or for your brand, then you could expect that domain might be a little bit expensive.
Yeah,
right?
Could be, yeah. So the domain provider may already bought it and waiting for someone else.
Correct.
So, all right, so you mentioned Twitter though. I like that example.
Yeah.
So, all right, so back to our process. We got a column of words that we came up with, and now we got a column of synonyms for those words, right? And you can combine them and say, all right, healthycookie.com, but most likely that's taken. If it's not, buy it. And if that's your brand, you can use that for SEO. Yeah. But we're not going to get that far into SEO because that's a whole other conversation. Yeah. So this point, let's talk about being creative. So there are certain parts about a brand and about a name and about a business that you want, right? So is it available? Right? That's what we were talking about first, research.
Right.
Okay. Is it relevant? That's what we're talking about second, right? Coming up with the objectives for your name and those synonyms. So it's relevant to what your brand is. The third thing is it creative? Okay, so that's where a lot of people they're looking for help because they don't want their healthy cookie company to be called Healthy Cookie.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
So they want it unique, right?
They want it creative and unique,
memorable.
That's where all that stuff comes into play for Twitter. So Twitter, tweet, bird, Twitter logo.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a feeling. that you get when you think about these things that are all subliminal. So they did a really good job of doing that. Okay.
Right.
So to be able to come up with something creative, how do you do that? Go back to the competitors that you're looking at, see how they were doing things, and maybe just come up with a spin-off of that. So that could be one example. So for example, I said the word example like 100 times just now, but if there's a gym called Action Fitness, right? So some of you may have heard of that. Especially if you're here in Colombia, Action Fitness is a new gym, right?
Yeah.
There's also Smart Fit, right?
Yep.
They're all using the word fitness.
Mm-hmm.
It may be smart if you're a gym here to also use the word fitness, so that way you can align yourself immediately to these brands and use the other word within that to be your unique word. Okay.
Correct.
So you don't always have to blow up the thing and say we're going to call ourselves something that doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
It doesn't always have to be that way. But if you are, say, in a more creative industry, it may make sense to do that. So once again, if you're a t-shirt company, a skateboard, new food, a healthy cookie, it might make sense to do something like that. So there are ways to be creative with that. How do you do that? Start playing with the words themselves.
Wordplay. Yep.
Wordplay. So what you can do is start shortening words, cutting them off where the nouns are. Okay. So for example, Action Fitness, right? Perhaps that word act, maybe that sound creates something that you want, or fit creates something that you want. Okay. So like Fit Now. That could be a name of a gym, okay? Combining these different words and cutting them off in certain areas. And then also, what's the trends right now is like adding a Z to something, adding a Y at the end of something. Shopify, Spotify.
Converti.
And then there are other ways that you can do it, right? So Uber. It's just a really short sound that means nothing, right? But what it is memorable. It's extremely memorable. So if you think about the Uber example, Uber, that sound itself is memorable in itself, okay? And so that's another completely way of coming up with a name for a business, is really just saying, I'm going to come up with a unique word that means nothing. And if Uber does mean something, then this is not a good example. But for those that don't know, like myself, it's a sound that you're easily able to retrieve in your memory. Uber.
The phonetics.
Yep, it's really just that. And so, but for someone that's like a local business, someone that's a small business, you don't necessarily need to be that creative. Sometimes being a little more generic is better. Okay?
Yeah. Like if you're selling like phones and computers and stuff, like maybe like the tech shop. And maybe like some play on with that, or, So I've seen a lot of those. They use certain industry words and kind of like mix it up.
Yep.
So yeah, it all depends. I mean, and what you feel, let's say, conveys your brand the right way to your consumer, right?
Yep, for sure. Another example we can go through, something that's fairly creative. There's a co-working space here in Colombia called Tinko. It's right next to us, right? So. Tinko, what's that mean? It means nothing. But Tinko, actually, if you think of the word tinker, tinker is to dabble or to experiment with or to try new things.
Right.
Co-working space, Tinko. It's wordplay based on a synonym of tinker.
And then it has that right?
Yeah.
That co-work as co-working, right?
There you go. So it's really cool how they did that.
Yeah.
And it's co with a K. So it's wordplay. That's where you can get creative, right? Switch the letters around, throw a Z on the end.
Yeah, have fun with it.
Have fun with it. Some people like to consume substances when they're naming things. Maybe that's a good way for you to be creative if you have to be. But really the idea is to come up with these words and come up with synonyms for them. You're going to have like 100 words. Then just start doing a bunch of wordplay with those things, right? That's like your ammunition to be able to come up with something creative. Keep looking at them. Keep combining them. Grab something out you see in nature maybe, and you're like, hey, maybe that works. Let me try that sound out. Is that the right emotion that I'm looking for? Maybe it is. But what's important is that it's available. Okay, so you talked about the domain.
And social media, right? So if you look up, if you named your Healthy Cookie company, Healthy Cookie Co. or something, and you search on Google, and then you have like 2 or 3 on Facebook with the exact same name, it's probably not a good name then, right? It's going to be difficult, especially if, like, let's say if it's already an established brand with a lot of social signals. We call it a lot of likes, a lot of shares, right? A lot of followers. Yep. It's going to be difficult to compete with that, right? Yep. You don't want that, so that gives you kind of, it'll direct you to think about something else. Yeah. Something more creative.
Yep. You want a .com, okay? So some real basic SEO stuff. You want a .com or a .net. Those are highest value domains you can get. If you can't get them, .cos aren't bad. But really what's important is, like Andres is saying, you can rank for it. So if you search your name and nobody's really there using it, sounds like a good name. Yeah. From a search engine perspective. And then go on Facebook, same thing. Use Facebook as a search engine, search for your name. If you see someone using it, see how engaged they are. If the account was closed 3 years ago or last time they posted was 5 years ago, you can outrank them. And if you do see someone using your words or your name that's a little too big of a competitor, shy away. Okay? Yep. Searchable, memorable, typable. Okay, there's another one. Typable and writable.
Yeah, make it easy.
Make it easy because someone's searching for you. If the sound doesn't match to what you're writing or typing, then you may be confusing your customer and they may not be able to find you. So think about that.
Don't make it difficult for them. Right? So if it's like this long tail thing,
or weird spelling that is difficult to understand. Think about international ranking as well, right? So if you're someone that is marketing internationally, perhaps it needs to be a sound or some sort of emotion that resonates with outside of language, right? So why is Uber cool? It can work in any language, right? So versus healthy cookie, that probably means nothing in Spanish, right? Yeah. So those are things to think about. Is if you are trying to tap into different markets, your name needs to be able to cross those borders. So think about those things. Okay.
Very important.
Once again, so the keys to remember here are: is your name searchable, memorable, typable, available, creative and unique? And to me, the most important thing is it emotion. Does it tell your personal story? Is it you? Is it your brand? And is it what you're looking to create? Okay, so really I think that's the most important thing is, like, do you like your name of your business? Does it tell your story? Okay?
Yeah. You have to like it before other people can like it.
Yeah, for sure. So. You gotta be proud of your name. So. Okay, that was a good episode. We talked about a lot. I know that the process still might be a little bit confusing because we were kind of going through it and giving examples. So what we'll try and do is I'll try and do a write-up, post a blog article, so that way you can kind of take a look at how I think about these things and you can kind of replicate it. But follow those steps. Words based on goals, synonyms on those words, wordplay, research, domain, and you're pretty much in business at that point. So that's how you can pick a product or a name for your business. Once again, my name is Matt Rincon.
I'm Andres Bustamante.
Andres, why don't you tell them what to do in terms of subscribing on all our channels and that? Yeah,
absolutely. So just go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn on the notification, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And anywhere you see our content at Digit Coffee Ads.
And if you made it this far to the end of the episode, thank you so much for watching. I'd really actually like to hear from these individuals that made it to this part. Leave a comment. What'd you think about the episode? Does it feel like this helped? Do you want us to talk about something more in detail? What subjects do you want to hear about? So just thank you so much for watching this far.
Leave your comments below.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
See you next time.